Good morning, and answer everyone's question. Yeah, these items are for sale. Everything will go to charity when we're done here today. Good morning, and thank you for coming. Over the last several months, our organized retail theft task force worked on 2 long-term investigations. It was all in an effort to identify, locate, and dismantle organized retail theft. Before we get into the details and explain this team's success, I want to welcome our Florida Attorney General, Ashley Moody, FDLE Special Agent in Charge, Mark Brutnell, and FDLE Assistant Special Agent in Charge, John Vecchio. The first investigation our task force worked on started back in June of this year. We received information about an organized crime ring from the Tampa Bay Regional Intelligence Center. After developing probable cause, we obtained and served a court-authorized search warrant for a home at 2611 Emma Street East. And as a result, the following people were arrested. 20-year-old Samia Harris, 35-year-old Pernell Bethel, 64-year-old Clarence Walters, and 42-year-old Ronald West. After interviewing those arrested, our team determined that 39-year-old Lee York was the leader of this organized crime ring. York has 21 previous felony convictions. Thanks to the great work by investigators, York is now facing a number of charges, including child neglect and maintaining a dwelling for drug use. During the search of the home on Emma Street, our task force recovered 50 boxes of unopened diapers, multiple packages of paper towels, toilet paper, and several brand new power tools. In total, we were able to connect 26 cases of theft that were committed by these individuals. We couldn't be more appreciative of the partnership we share with the statewide prosecutor's office, who is charging these 3, Lee York, Ronald West, and Samia Harris, with racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering. In addition to these arrests, the statewide prosecutor's office has also charged 30-year-old Kona Ingram with racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering. This is a direct result of the investigation into Lee York. The Tampa Bay Regional Intelligence Center did an outstanding job of identifying a crime trend, disseminating that intelligence to our team, who did a great job of tracking down these criminals who are now facing extremely serious charges. Our next investigation started in July of this year and centers around a home at 3009 West Crest Avenue. Information for this case was received from the Polk County Sheriff's Office and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and involved the Cuban theft organization. The home was being used to store and distribute stolen property, some of which we have on display here today. The task force was able to pinpoint 45-year-old Jose Valdivia Quiones as the head of this organization. The task force used confidential sources to conduct 2 stolen merchandise transactions from the home. During the transactions, Jose Quiones instructed the confidential source to steal certain items from specific stores and then compensated the confidential source for doing the theft. With this information, the task force obtained a search warrant, arrested Quiones, and recovered more than 1,100 pair of brand name shoes, more than 500 bottles of unopened cologne, multiple personal grooming items, clothing, purses, and high-end watches, including a Rolex. The value of the recovered items is approximately $180,000. As a result, Quiones is charged with 2 counts of dealing in stolen property and racketeering. Why is enforcing these types of crime important? Because retail theft is not a victimless crime. It impacts business owners and us as consumers. And the actions of these criminals directly contribute to you paying more at the register. Your sheriff's office won't stand for this type of crime. As made evident with the dismantling of these organized crime rings, our team of professionals are extremely good at what they do. And the task force will continue to pursue criminal organizations and track down the people responsible for these types of crime. I would now like to introduce our Attorney General, someone who works tirelessly every day to protect Floridians and pursue criminals that take advantage of our communities. General Moody's Office of Statewide Prosecution was involved in both of these retail theft operations. Please welcome our Florida Attorney General, Ashley Moody.
Thank you. Well, good morning, and thank you for being here. Thank you for your attention to the culmination of an incredibly successful investigation, and what we can assure you will be a prosecution will hold these individuals accountable to the fullest extent of the law. This is an example of what can happen when multiple agencies work together and coordinate to go after large, complex criminal organizations. This racketeering case involves 8 individuals, over 130 predicate acts, hundreds of thousands of dollars in stolen merchandise, multiple businesses around the states from 14 different counties. And the successful culmination of this case is only possible because we had men and women of law enforcement from different investigative agencies working together hand in hand to identify the businesses being taken advantage of and those that were responsible. As Sheriff Chronister said, organized retail theft, which my office will aggressively pursue in the state of Florida, are not just affecting the businesses from which this merchandise is being stolen. The mother who is working 3 jobs to put food on the table will be paying a little bit more for the items she needs for her family because these individuals think they can go in and just take what they want and sell for their own profit. These businesses were getting hit 8 to 10 times a day. This was a full-time job for those individuals involved in this criminal organization, and I am proud to say we are announcing here today the final arrest in taking down those bad actors. When law enforcement works together and they do what they do best, share information, share intelligence, that is bad news for the bad guys. And we're proud to be a part of this. The Attorney General's Office and the Office of Statewide Prosecution will continuously, aggressively pursue those that are increasing prices for the citizens of Florida and stealing from Florida businesses. Thank you again for your attention today and being here to acknowledge the hard work of our law enforcement men and women.
Thank you, General Moody. I'd now like to invite Florida Department of Law Enforcement Special Agent in Charge, Mark Brunell, to share a few words.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it. Good morning. Just like the AG said, organized retail theft investigations like this one are usually complex and can require more investigative hours than other cases. In cases like this, it's easier to arrest the lower level players, but that does little to make our community safer. To really make a difference, it's vital to go after the organizational leaders like Jose Valdivia Quinones. Oftentimes, as you can see in this case, retail theft is just one of the crimes committed by the members of the organization. In addition to driving up costs for all of us on consumer goods, these organizations are often involved in other illegal activities like drugs and violent crimes. When we dismantle the entire organization, we not only see a decline in overall retail thefts, we also make our community a safer place to live. Because of the time commitment and investigative expertise required in these cases, teamwork is vital. I'm proud of our partnerships with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and our private partners, as well as Office of Statewide Prosecution. Working together, we are more effective in making Tampa Bay safer. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
At this time, the 3 of us will attempt to answer any questions you may have.
I would just ask, Sheriff, how many people were involved? I mean, this looks like it's a pretty extensive operations. The ones, I'm talking about the one with the shoes and the cologne and watches, things of that nature. How many people were involved in that one?
It was quite a widespread organization, and in some of this, Quinones almost had like his own convenience store where people would stop by and shop for what they wanted. He was compensating people with crack cocaine for payment, feeding that cycle of addiction, and taking advantage of people who are addicted to crack cocaine, as well as we're aware of some of this was being sold out of state, some of it even being sold back to Cuba. Apparently there's a tremendous markup, the items that are able to be sent overseas.
So I looked at the court documents, and one really popular item that they kept taking
Absolutely. I think it's extremely dangerous, and it's an extremely fraudulent crime as well. Business owners, because a lot of it's back with EBT and government assistance, are paid to put these items on their shelf. So they get compensated from the government from putting these items on the shelf. And what we're finding is some local convenience store owners are actually buying them back at a discounted rate, selling them, making the profit, as well as being compensated from the government. And that's still part of this investigation that will spin off into other individuals as well. But extremely dangerous, because a lot of times, at the same time, as you're alluding to, you don't know what you're getting. You know, they sell it on the black market. It's a shame that it's such a black market for such a vital item for survival when it comes to infants.
How were they getting merchandise back to Cuba? Did they have a contact there?
They did. They have contacts over there. They had the shipping routes set up the way they were mailed, even covering the cost of all the postage and everything gone from these items. There was still a tremendous amount of profit from the markup that it made it worth their while to ship items overseas to Cuba.
So they were just mailing it?
They were mailing it. There were some other ways as well, but the preferred method was to ship it out.
I understand there was video inside of this man's home. Have you guys reviewed that video, or are you planning to release it?
That's a good question. I'm not aware of that. We will release it. We will release it. Yes.
Any other questions?
How long had both these operations been going on?
That's hard to tell. We got into them in the beginning of June, but I think as organized as they are, I think they were going on for quite some time. I think that's why it was such a wonderful job by our regional intelligence center to identify this trend and pass it on. And for those who aren't aware of our regional Tampa Bay Regional Intelligence Center does an amazing job working with all the local agencies here in the Tampa Bay area. And what they do is they're able to identify and share intelligence, which is the most powerful tool that you have in law enforcement. Share this information, identify a trend, and then we're able to work with different departments, whether it's a statewide prosecutor's office, Polk County Sheriff's Office, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, knowing that there were no county boundaries for these organizations, come together and be able to make such an effective case.
Go ahead. When did arrests begin and end?
Arrest began in June.
And Sheriff, which stores are we talking about did they steal these items from?
Yeah, great question. They came from mainstream stores that all of us shop at: CVS, Publix, Walmart, the shoes from Ross, places where we're going to pay as consumers a lot more money to cover the cost of these losses.
And then I know you mentioned Valdivia Quinones. Are there any additional arrests in addition to him?
No, the last one was the female that we spoke about. She was the last one, and I commend the statewide prosecutor's office for being so diligent and developing the probable cause to be able to appropriately charge her for these crimes as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.